G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Druk Milan Unboxing. Please hit the subscribe button on the bottom of your screen. This is the second edition of my division by division breakdown of South African boxing, the state of the game as it were, as we are going into 2020. And last time we left off at the junior welterweights or super lightweights, so now it's time for the lightweights, and there we have Kholisani Nomeva and Ndongeni. His nickname Nomeva, I like that name, it means the Wasp, and I would like to see the Wasp sting again. Last year he went overseas to the States, he fought Devin Haney, he lost on points. Okay, he lost by a country mile, he was well beaten, but he hung tough and he went the distance. So if we look at Devin Haney now, he's one of the breakout American stars that could be something really big along with Virgil Ortiz and Teofimo Lopez. So no shame in losing to Devin Haney. He's since won a fight against a stay busy kind of opponent, but I would like to see him fight something substantial, because it's not an undisputed fact that he is a top lightweight in South Africa. There are others that will have a word to say about that. One of them is Ayanda of the Greyhound, and Corsi had a breakout year, beat former world title challenger Emmanuel Lopez. He was also South African champion, and after beating the Mexican Lopez, he picked up a minor fringe world title, the WBF belt in that. But he is definitely a prospect at 14-1, some early blemish in his career. But he looks for stuff, and I would like to see what he does against somebody like Ndongeni. That'll be a big step up for him. Then there's also Kanyile Bulana, who beat Pila Mponchana, South African junior lightweight champion, who moved up for an IBF Africa belt. He's in between belts. I know irritate a lot of the fans. There's so many of them around, but they are a way for the fighters to move up the rankings of those various sanctioning bodies. That's the obvious business model. You pay them sanctioning fees, and then you go up and up in the ratings until eventually, hopefully, you get a shot at the world champion of that organization. So there is Kanyile Bulana. He looked good against Pila Mponchana. I think he's a prospect for the future. He's trained and managed by Colin Nathan, so I think they're going to take him over international route. But that's another guy that I wouldn't mind seeing again against Ndongeni. And then we also have Sibusetu Mvula in the Eastern Cape. He is trained by Chief Njakanye, I believe, who's a well-known trainer over there. And he's not exactly, to me, he doesn't look like that special fighter to me, but he is improved and he's a good fighter. And Njakanye is somebody that can get something out of his fighters. So he's also an interesting prospect to watch. If we go down to junior lightweight, now we had our big heartbreak party because of a golden boy, Azinga Fusile, who was going on towards a world title. In a final IBF eliminator, he fought an fellow unbeaten Shavkat Rakimov, a Russian with bricks in his hands, and it was an absolute nail biter. The fighter was ringside for that, and eventually Rakimov caught up to him in the 7th round and knocked him out. But then later also it surfaced that he was given smelling salts in the corner before that round, which is illegal, of course. There's a hearing on the 28th of January. We'll see what happens. My guess is they're not going to overturn the result or declare it a no contest. I think it's too much after the fact now, and I think they're possibly going to have Fusile keep his ranking and fight another eliminator. But be that as it may, the big question is, can he get over the psychological aspect of losing in that way, being ahead on points and then getting stopped like he did. I still believe in Fusile. People are quick to write off somebody after they lose. I think he is a special talent. I think he just had the wrong guy in front of him at the wrong time, and I think he'll be back. Now, going further with junior lightweights, the South African champion is Pila Mponchana. Now, he's a sort of an in and outer. He can look good and he can look bad. He can punch a little bit, muscular, big for his weight, physically imposing, I think, at the weight. But he doesn't fight for the full 3 minutes of every round. And we've got a guy over here in Cape Town, Lunga Sitamela, the pressure cooker, is his nickname. The older guys among us will remember Jackie Gunguluza had that nickname, former South African featherweight champion, and I believe Sinetemba Manjoli gave this name to Sitamela. That's Astoria here anyway. But Sitamela is a pressure fighter and a high volume puncher. He throws punches and bunches. Now, I would like to see that fight. Apparently, they've lodged the challenge. They don't want to go to the Eastern Cape because they're worried about getting a fair shake of the judges. It's going to take some money to get in Ponchana over here in Cape Town, but it's a fight I and I suspect many other people really would like to see, because in Ponchana fights in spurts. Sitamela is busy all the time. Now, if he can avoid getting knocked out or getting hurt by Ponchana and not getting knocked down a couple of times, he should outpoint in Ponchana. But that's a very big if. He's going to outwork him. The question is, can he keep out of trouble against Pila and Ponchana, because it will be a big step up for him. But he's at the stage of his career where he's treading water now. He's undefeated. He needs to make a move. So let's hope that can also happen in the junior lightweight division this year. And then we move down to featherweight. Breakout star Lerato Dlamini. Lerato lights out Dlamini. He only had one fight, but what a win it was in the UAE. He fought unbeaten Filipino Dave Penalosa. I thought Penalosa was going to beat him. I'm honest, sometimes I don't always pick for the South African fighter. Penalosa was a big puncher and he looked really good up until the point that he fought Dlamini. Dlamini boxed masterfully, better than I've seen him look in quite a while. And he was on point that night and he boxed beautifully and he neutralized Penalosa, even knocked him down. And he should be in line in the WBC, perhaps for a world title shot should Gary Russell perhaps move up. So Lerato Dlamini is somebody that can make a run at a world title in 2020, and we'll be watching him. Locally, the featherweight division is home to two prospects, both here from Cape Town, Abdulaziz Kunert and Tembani Baby Jacob Bangata. Both had impressive wins on the same card. The idea is that they'll fight for a vacant South African title. There's a people of another Eastern Cape prospect, Asanda Gimli. They are disputing it. But let's hope we can see that Abdulaziz Kunert versus Tembani and Bangata clash. It's two guys that I covered extensively, two young undefeated guys. It's almost a pity that they have to fight each other, but I would like to see that fight. Those are two good prospects in the junior lightweight, in the featherweight division. Going down to junior lightweight was a very prolific weight division for us. We had world champions like Brian Mitchell and then Cassius Baloyi, Mzonke Fana, Malcolm Klassen in that weight division. Featherweight we had Mbolela Botile. But now, if we go down to junior featherweight, that is also a prolific division. We had the great Vuyani Bungu, we had Welcome Nita, we had Jeffrey Matabula and Takalani and Blovu in that weight division, all of them IBF champions. And we have a prospect, undefeated prospect, Ludumo 9mm Lamati. He's won 2 fights in 2019. I was ringside for one of them against Richie Mepranum. He won well enough. Mepranum was more there to survive, so he was a bit of a spoiler. I think Ludumo Lamati is a good prospect. We might see him in a world title fight towards the end of 2020 or next year. There's still crinkles to be ironed out. I would like to see him get rid of a guy like Mepranum inside the distance. So that's what's happening in junior featherweight. And we also have a prospect which you must not sleep on. It's Ayabonga JJ Sonjika. He's trained by Sean Smith, who trains Tabiso Mkunu as well, and Tulani Mbenge. And I think he is a real comer. I saw him win the South African title from ringside. He dominated. He's a really, really good boxer, rangy sort of boxer. Keep an eye on Ayabonga JJ, like they call him, Sonjika. And that's for junior featherweights. If we go down to bantamweight, we had the huge heartbreak of Solani Tete in 2019. Not only did he miss the World Boxing Super Series semi-final against Nonita Donaire because of a right shoulder that gave him problems, and he's a southpaw, so it's a big deal for him. It's a big deal anyway, but then especially it's a big deal. He got simply smashed out of the ring by John Real Casimiro, and he's now lost his WBO world title. He's an ex-world champion. People are quick to write people off after a knockout defeat especially, but he has been there before in his career, being stopped and coming back from that. So don't write him off just yet. He might still come again for a world title. It's going to be difficult in the bantamweights with guys like the top guy, Naoya Inoue, and other guys. Nonito Donaire is fighting at some point WBC champion Nordin Obali, I believe. So, and I don't think he's going to get a rematch of Casimiro unless he gets himself to a mandatory contender status. So it's a hard road back for Zolani Tete, but I think he has got the character to do it. If a will on the fire is still there, very tall, rangy, awkward southpaw that can also crack. And then at bantamweight we've got a South African champion. He's still undefeated, Ronald Malindi. Bit of a character, likes to bust a few dance moves after his fights. He's undefeated. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. There's nothing there that makes me go crazy about him. But he's promoted by Rumble Africa Promotions. They're in Eastern Cape. They've got a lot of good fighters on their roster, not only Zinga Fuzile, also Lamati and a few others. So I think they're going to give him a push in 2020, and we'll see if he can be international level. Moving down to junior bantamweight. Now there we have a very busy weight division. Athenkosi Dumisweni had a great breakout win over Jonas Sultan, and then he lost to Fernando Daniel Martinez, an Olympian from Argentina, in a real war of a fight. He got stopped. There was some controversy in there for a knockdown for Dumisweni that was wrongly counted as a slip. And then there was also a few blows landed in the final knockdown in the 10th round. He was stopped in the 11th after that. So there is that issue around Athenkosi Dumisweni. He'll have to rebuild. But then there's also younger Showtime Selkubo, undefeated, and he's had a few international fights already. He's a pure boxer. He's not a big puncher, but fast hands, a little bit in the welcome Nita mode. And we'll be watching his career of interest to see what can happen. But the main guy still, I think, has to be Gideon Buthelezi. He's been on a long undefeated streak since his last loss. He's an IBO champion, which is the best of the rest. I'm a guy who's a big fall guy, WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO. But one would really like to see him get a shot at one of the big guys. I don't think he can beat Juan Francisco Estrada, the WBC champion, who's a main Mac, or Kazuto Ioka from the WBO. But, somebody like the WBA champion, Cole Yafai, if he can get past Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, or Gonzalez if he wins, he's now a bit long in the tooth. I would like to see Buthelezi get a shot at someone like that, and who knows, maybe he might surprise us. So, that is the junior bantamweights. There's also a prospect called Ricardo Malajica, that Golden Gloves is moving very fast. His last fight, he was fighting a fellow undefeated a guy there, and he didn't look good. He took a knockdown. He looked out of sorts. Eventually, he stopped his opponent when he ran out of gas. But in that fight, you could see the coordination and speed is there. He was a standout amateur, but I think he struggles a bit with the transition to the pro style. And now they're going to put him in against Jonas Sultan. That's a big step up. I think it's too big a step up, maybe. But it's up to him and his coach, Anton Gilmore, to sort out the many crinkles. So he's going to have to lift his game, and we'll see what he does against Sultan, whether he is going to be such a great prospect as a professional or not. The talent is there, but I didn't like what I saw from him in his last fight. So, that is Ricardo Malajica. If we go to flyweight, that is where Africa's best pound-for-pound fighter resides. If Ilunga Makabu wins the WBC Cruiserweight title against Chislak, he'll make an argument for that. But Moruti Mtalani, I believe 37 years old already, and he's just a marvel. He's in his second year reign as IBF World Flyweight Champion, title that he never lost in the ring in the first place. Remarkable run. If you haven't seen Moruti Mtalani, great little fighter, accurate, all action, very good, heavy hands on him. And he won twice against Japanese opponents. He got rid of his challenger Masayuki Kuroda. And now at the end of the year, he also beat a Japanese legend, former freeweight champion Akira Yaigashi. And it was a very good fight, action-packed, and he stopped Yaigashi. So we all want to see Mtalani get a big unification fight, a big fight, where he can make some serious money. He's making good money now, more than he's made before for flyweight. But we would all like to see him against WBO champion Kosei Tanaka. That would be for a vacant Ring Magazine championship. But it looks like Tanaka wants to move up to fight countryman Ioka. They tried to get him Charlie Edwards. Edwards got beat by Martinez. So we're hoping that he maybe just get a big fight this coming year. I'm hearing that the World Boxing Super Series wants to have a flyweight or junior bantamweight leg of a tournament. Perhaps that is something that they can pull Mthalane into. I'd love to see him in something like that. Really, I believe his last fight was on ESPN in the States. Really worth checking him out if you haven't already. That's the flyweights. That is Moruti and Mthalane. And then we also have others. You know, we have our hot prospect in the Eastern Cape from Rumble Africa Promotions, Luyanda Pretty Boy Mtwanambe. I also was privileged to see him ringside. He had an absolute war against a tough opponent, Fikile Mlonyeni. I'm not going to say in the air what Mlonyeni's nickname is, but the first part is Fear, and the second part starts with an F and all. Now, Dev DC, the ring announcer, said it on the air. He's a more brave man than me. It was actually quite a humorous moment. But he went to war against Fikile Mlonyeni, and he came out on top. He had to really dig deep, and that's the kind of fight a prospect needs to have somewhere in his development. Not too much, but he needs to go through fire, and that was a really good test for Luyanda Mtwanambe, and I'm watching his career with great interest. We stepped down to junior fly, of course, the former ring and WBA IBF world champion Eki Butler hasn't fought at all this year after losing his title to Hirota Kyoguchi. But he's highly ranked in the WBC. He was going to fight in December in Japan. It didn't come through. I suspect they're going to have him, give him a bit of a rust shaker this year, warm-up fight, and then he'll go and try and see if he can win a final world title challenging Ken Shiro. They like Eki down in Japan. He's big in Japan, as the song says, from Alphaville. So they want a last shot at the last big payday and a last shot at glory. So I'm hoping that he can get that shot at Ken Shiro if Shiro doesn't fight Kyoguchi in a Japanese super fight. So that is a possibility for Eki Butler at junior fly. And then we also have a red hot prospect called Sivenati, the special one, Nonchinga. Also a Rumble Africa fighter there in the Eastern Cape. Very fast hands, very flashy fighter. He shines with quick combinations. He also had a tough fight against Siabonga Sio, but he came through that. And I'm keeping a tabs on him. I think Sivenati Nonchinga is a guy who could be a future world champion. If we go down to the smallest weight division in boxing, we had the feel-good story of a year, DJ Creel coming from nowhere, winning the IBF world title with a dramatic last round come from behind knockout. And then he gave up his title without a fight. It was your usual purse bid disputes, not enough money. And he's now also moved up to junior flyweight. They had a stay busy fight in Tijuana, Mexico. At least he can tell his kids he fought in Eric Morales' hometown. So he's going to make a run for a title as well this year in the junior flyweight division. He's moved up now from strawweight. In strawweight, Simpiwe Konto had his shot against Waneng Menayoten, who is a long undefeated streak, the longest reigning current world champion. The longest current undefeated streak is beaten Mayweather's 15-0 record. And young, tough, but he was well beaten by Menayoten. He just couldn't get over that hump. So we'll see what the future holds for him, whether he's got another run at the world title in him or not. But it is a busy division now because look who's back. Konto has beaten him before, but the former IBF world champion Kosinati Joy Mabere made the comeback of a year. Joy was on the scrap heap and he really came back in 2019, and it culminated with a scintillating points win over Joey Kanoi for a fringe IBO world title he's had before besides his IBF belt. And it's a really good comeback win. Joey Kanoi is a dangerous fighter. He's a guy that can punch. I was very nervous for Joey going into that. I thought there's a chance he might get stopped. But he looked very, very, very good, and he fought very well against Joey Kanoi in a terrific fight. And it's a solid win. He's a world title contender again. He's back in the Ring Magazine's top 10. And I'm hoping that in 2020, Kawa Promotions, Ayanda Matiti has got him. Maybe he'll have another run at the IBF world title. You know, maybe there could even be a rematch between Joy and Konto. And then the other guy to look out for is a chap with 5 pro fights. He's got 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and that's Siakolwa Kuse. Now, he's also from East London. and he really, they threw him in at the deep end in his only loss, when he challenged for the South African title against a much more experienced Xolisa Magusha. It was probably, in my book, the fight of the year in South Africa. It was a fantastic fight, and he lost the razor thin points decision. But he got out, got back on the horse, and now he did win that South African title from Magusha's conqueror, Cecil Bandla, and stopping Bandla in very impressive fashion. He looked really good. The guy can punch, he's explosive, he's got speed, and I'm really watching his career with interest. I think Siakolo Akuse, providing when I'm moving too fast, you know, I can see development in him, and I can see how he's learning. He could be a future comer in boxing, smaller weight division. So that's it from me. That's the end of my division by division breakdown of South African boxing. Please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment in the comment sections if you want to add something, if you want to agree or disagree. It's always nice to have a discussion with boxing fans. Hopefully I see many of you at the fights in 2020. There's a lot to look forward to, and until I see you again, keep those hands up.